Hello students, welcome to video lecturing class for the control engineering subject. So in the last video we have seen about some of the course objectives and course outcomes of the system. Then we have seen about the introduction about the control systems, and then we have seen about some of the basic definitions of what do you mean by system, what do you mean by control system, plant, controller. Okay, to that we have seen about what is exactly is the open loop control system and what are the advantages of control system, disadvantages of control system, then some of the real-time application of the control system. So to moving further, so today we'll discuss about the closed loop system. So in the case of closed loop system, so it is a system in which control action depends on the output. So in a closed loop control system, the actuating error signal, which is the difference between the input signal and the feedback signal, that is output signal or its function, is fed to the controller. So the elements of closed systems are command, reference input, error detector, control system, and feedback element. So here one extra part you can see here, this is the feedback element you are having. If you just remove this feedback element, it will become an open loop control system. Just input some actions, then you will get the output. But when you add this portion to a open loop system, it will become the closed loop system. So the one more basic definition of a closed loop system is a system in which the controlling action or input is somehow dependent on the output, or changes in output is called as closed loop system. So to have the dependence of input on the output, such systems uses a feedback property. So here the new word comes, feedback property, that is this feedback element. So before beginning with the actual closed loop system, we'll try to understand what exactly this feedback element and what is the function of this feedback element. So feedback, basically the feedback is a property of the system by which it permits the output to be compared with the reference input to generate the error signal based on which the appropriate controlling action can be decided. So here the main function of this feedback element is to give the signal, that is output signal, to this error detector. So here in this error detector, the comparison of input, reference input, to the output will be done. Then based on that, error signal will be occurred. So the whatever the error signal there it will get, that error signal will be fed to the controller. So the what is the function of this controller? It will actuate, or it will regulate the actuating signal to the plant. So here it will be that actuating signal will be fed to the plant, and here process will happen, then it will give you the desired output. So in such systems, output or part of output is a feedback to input for comparison with the reference input applied to it. So this is the basic general block diagram for the closed loop system. Then moving further, so we'll try to study some of the elements of the closed loop system. So the first one is command. So here basically the command is an externally produced input and independent of feedback control system. So here it is just an input for the system, because to actuate or to start a system you need to give some input, right? So that input we can call it as command. Then the second one is a reference input element. So here whatever the basic input you are giving through this command, it may not be in the form of the required format. Okay, so because to actuate certain parts or some system, the input signal should be of some specific format. So here this reference element, either it will amplify or it will change its magnitude to the required specific format, then it will fed to the next part. So the reference input element, then the error detector. So here the error detector receives the measured signal and compare it with reference input. So the difference of two signals produces the error signal. So the main function of this error detector is to compare the output signal, that is measured signal is nothing but output signal, and that signal will be compared with the reference input. Then it will calculate the difference between those two. If the difference is occurring, then we can call it as an error signal. Then the fourth one is control element. So here this way control elements will regulate the output according to the signal obtained from the error detector. So previously whatever the signal or that is error signal is calculated by the error detector, it will fed to the control element. So there it will regulates the output according to the error signal. Then the control system. So this represents what we are controlling by the feedback loop. Whatever the error is coming from the error detector, it will fed to the control element. There it will actuate some of the functions. Those actuating things will happen in the controlled system. Then the sixth one is feedback element. So this element feedback the output to the error detector for comparison with the reference input. Just it will send the output to the error detector for the comparison of the output to the reference input. Now coming to the advantages of closed loop system, the first one is accuracy is high as any error arising is corrected. Because here whatever the errors are occurring, when the errors will occur, whenever there is a disturbances or whenever there is a change in the parameter of the any of the parts, that time it may not give you the desired output, that is the output may deviate from the required value. So that time through the feedback element you are measuring the output and you are comparing with the input. If there is a difference, then you are calculating the error and you are again actuating the controller, controlling action there. So by comparing again, all the time you are trying to get the desired output. That means all the time you are trying to get the accurate results. That is the reason why accuracy is very high here. Then the second one is it senses changes in output due to environmental or parametric change, internal disturbances, and it corrects the same. So as we are comparing the output, obviously it has to take care of environmental or parametric changes. If there is any changes in the environment or the internal, if there is any internal disturbances or external disturbances occurring to the system, that time it may not give you the proper output. So when it is not giving you the proper output, that time again you are calculating the error signal through the error detector and you are actuating the controlling action here to get the desired output. So that is also one of the advantages. Then the third one is reduce the effect of non-linearities. So here the non-linearities means the system may behave non-linear if you won't compare the output to the input. So that at time over a period of time your system may start behaving in non-linear manner. But here when you are comparing with the output to the input and you are taking care of all the internal and external disturbances, that is external disturbances are nothing but environmental or parametric changes. So in that cases the effect of non-linearity will be reducing. Then the fourth one is it is having the high bandwidth. What exactly it is high bandwidth you will understand for in the further study. Then the fifth one is facilitates automation. So in case of automation, it is always required to measure the output. That is, if you do the automation for a particular manufacturing process, once if you get the final finished product, you need to do the all the testings. Okay, that is quality testing. If anything is missing or if any deviation from the actual, that is required quality of the product, so that time again you need to change the controlling actions or you need to change some of the processes itself. Okay, but if you are adopting a closed loop control system, in that automatically it will compare the output with the desired input with the required input. So that time if it any deviations or if any errors are there or if any defects are there, that time automatically it will detect where exactly the things are going wrong, then it will actuate and then it will control the things. So that is the reason why it is very useful for the automation of the industries. Then some of the disadvantages are like complicated in design and maintenance is costlier. when it is very difficult to design, obviously maintenance will be costlier because skilled workers are required. If something goes wrong in between, you need to stop the entire process. Okay, for that reason you can call it as a costlier for the maintenance. Then the second one is system may become unstable. So here, why the system will become unstable? Every time you are comparing the input to output, output to input, that time every time you are regulating or every time you are giving some commands to the system, so that time there is a chances of your system may become unstable. So now we'll try to understand what exactly the closed loop system by considering some of the real time applications. So the very first one is a human being, that is we. Okay, so this is one of the best example, right? Because if a person wants to reach for a book on the table, the closed system can be represented by using this block diagram. Okay, so here the position of the book, we can take it as a reference position. Okay, that is the reference input. So the feedback signals coming from the eyes, feedback signals will come from the eyes and compares the actual position of hands with the reference position. Then the error signal is given to the brain. Then brain manipulates this error signal and gives the signal to the hands. So this process continues till the position of hands get achieved appropriately. Okay, so here if you want to reach a book which is kept on a table, so the book which is kept, the book which you are keeping on table, which is kept on a table, is the reference input. Okay, so eyes will see that position. Okay, so here eyes will act as a feedback element. It will check the position of the book and your position of the hand. So that signal will fed to the brain. So here brain will act as a error detector, or it is acting as a controller. Okay, so brain will calculate the distance and it will send the signal to the hands so that you need to lift some distance. So what is that distance will be calculated by the signal given by the eyes to the brain. Okay, so here eyes is acting as a feedback element. So you have to start on raising your hand till it reaches that book, that is the reference position. Okay, so this process will continue till you touch that book. So here the ultimate objective is to take that book which is kept on the table. Okay, so that distance is calculated by the eyes and it is given to the brain. So brain is giving the signal to the hands to reach that book. So entirely we can call it as a closed loop system. Then the next one is home heating system. So in this system, the heating system is operated by a wall. So here it is operated by a wall. The actual temperature is sensed by this temperature sensor and compared it with the desired temperature. So the difference between the two actuates the wall mechanism to change the temperature as per the requirement. For example, if I want to maintain a temperature in a home like 34 degrees Celsius, so that time this temperature sensor will continuously check the temperature. Okay, for example, if the temperature is falling to 32 degrees centigrade, so that time I need to increase the temperature by 2 more degrees because the desired temperature, that is input, is it is set for 34 degrees Celsius. That time it will send to this error detector. So here calculation will be done, that signal will be sent to the wall. Based on that, wall mechanism will activate. Based on the activation of the wall mechanism, heating system will start. It will start till it reaches the 34 degrees Celsius because our desired temperature is 34 degrees Celsius. Okay, then moving further, the third one is a manual speed controller. So here, for if you take an example of a locomotive operator driving a train, okay, for the main objective is to maintain the speed equal to the speed limit set. the entire system for this kind of speed controller can be represented by this block diagram here. So here speed limit is set, the sensor will sense, that is here the sensor are nothing but eyes, because locomotive operator is there. Okay, so the signals you need to give by the manually, that is the human being or the driver or the operator has to give the signal. Okay, so the actual speed is, it is sensed by the eyes. If it is crossing the speed limit, that time brain will calculate how much deviation is from the speed limit. So based on that, it will send the signal to the hands. So hand will be acting here as an actuator. Okay, so the actuator hands are, you can consider them as the actuator here. Then this signal will send to the vehicle mechanism to get the desired speed, that is the speed limit. Okay, then the next one is DC motor speed control. So this is the circuit diagram and this is the block diagram. So in case of DC motor, it is used where field current is kept constant and armature voltage is changed to obtain the desired speed. So the feedback is given by the feedback is taken by speed tachometer, and this generates voltage proportional to speed, which is compared to voltage required to be desired speed. The difference is, this difference is used to change the input to control, with cumulatively changes the speed of the motor as the required. So here if you observe this block diagram instead of this circuit, if you observe this block diagram, you will understand. So this is the actual speed, it is measured by this tachometer, and you are having some desired speed, some predetermined speed you need to run this motor. So based on the signal which you are getting from this tachometer, here in this error detector you are going to calculate that one, and whatever the signal you are going to get, it needs to amplify. Then in case of armature, the speed signal will convert into voltage, because the input again here it is voltage only. So then that voltage will be fed to the load, that is to the motor. Based on that you will get the required output. Then the fifth one is temperature control system. So here the main aim is to maintain hot water temperature constant. So water is coming with the constant flow rate, the steam is coming from a valve here, the steam is coming from this valve. Okay, so the pressure thermometer, that is P, is used as a feedback element which sends a signal for the comparison of the set point. Okay, then this error actuates the valve which controls the rate of flow of steam, eventually the controlling the temperature of the water. So here if you see this block diagram, actual temperature and desired temperature, and whatever the change in temperature or the whatever the actual temperature is there, it will be sensed by this pressure thermometer, and this signal will be sent to this error detector. So here it will be compared with desired temperature. If there is any deviation from the desired value, that time valve mechanism will activate. Then based on the valve mechanism, steam flow will change, then process will start till you get the desired temperature. So now we have seen what exactly is control system, or what is system, physical system, some of the basic definitions, open loop, closed loop, their advantages, disadvantages, and some of their real-time applications. Now we'll try to understand what are the differences between open loop and closed loop system. So the first difference is for the open loop and closed loop. In case of open loops, any change in output has no effect on input, because we are not comparing output with input. So here input is totally independent of output. But in case of closed loop, change in output affects the input, because we are comparing the output. If the output is deviating from the desired or the required one, that time obviously we are going to change the input. The second one is output measurement is not required for the operation of the system, as we don't have the feedback element here. So, and we are not bothering about the output here. So in case of open loop, output measurement is not required, and in case of closed loop, output measurement is required for the operation of the system. Then the third one is feedback element or error, and the error detector is absent, because we are not comparing the output. Input is totally independent of output, so no need to have these feedback element or error detector in case of open loop. But in case of closed loop, feedback element and error detector is present. It is must, because we need to compare output with the input. For to get the signal from the output, feedback element is required, and to after comparing, to calculate the error detector is required. Then the fourth one is it is inaccurate and unreliable, because we are not bothering about the output. If the system is having some disturbances, that time it may not give you the proper output, so we can say it as inaccurate. In case of closed loop, it is highly accurate and reliable because of those feedback element and error detector. Then the fifth one is highly sensitive to disturbances and environmental changes, because we are not comparing the output with the input. Okay, so input will be fixed, and whatever may be the output, so that time we are, if you are not considering all those things, obviously it will be highly sensitive to the disturbances and environmental changes. But in case of our closed loop, less sensitive to disturbances and environmental changes. As soon as any changes happens, that time the controlling action will take place based on the disturbances occurred by either it may be internal or external. So that is the reason why we can call that they are less sensitive. Then the bandwidth is small in case of open loop, and bandwidth is large in case of closed loop. Then the seventh one is simple to construct and they are cheaper, because as you have seen in the block diagrams, there is no feedback element. Okay, so that's why they are economical. Then the in case of closed loop, it is having the feedback element, error detector, controlling action has to take place. Okay, so that is the reason why it is complicated to design, and hence it is costlier. Then the eighth one is generally are stable in nature. In case of closed loop, stability is major consideration while designing. Then the ninth one is highly affected by non-linearities, and in closed loop, reduced effect of non-linearities. Then moving further, the requirements of ideal control system. So for a control system, if you want to call the control system as a ideal control system, so these are some of the things in which all the control system should have. Okay, so the very first one is accuracy. For a good control system must be highly accurate. It should operate with a little error as possible, and the open loop system are generally less accurate, and hence the feedback is deliberately introduced to reduce the error in the system. So such closed loop system requires a design so that steady state error tends to zero. So main requirements are, these are the requirements, because if you want to call a student as a perfect student, you should have some qualities, right? For example, if you want to call a student as a student of the college or student of the year, okay, so he should have some ideal qualities. Which are those ideal qualities? Should attend the classes regularly, should study well, should be disciplined one. Okay, so likewise for the control system, these are the things you should have if you want to call that system as the ideal control system. Then the second one is sensitivity. So here sensitivity requirements, again it plays an important role in the design of control system, because all the physical systems have properties that change with the environment and age. So whatever the parts you are going to consider for the designing, they may change with the environment and age. So that is the reason why the parameters of the control systems cannot be considered to be constant over the entire operating life of the system. For example, the winding resistance of a motor changes with respect to the time. Okay, a good control system should be very insensitive to such parameters variations, but sensitive to the input commands. So it requires that its performance should not be affected by small changes in certain parameters of the system. Should be highly insensitive to the environmental changes, all those things. Then the third one is noise, or we can call it as external disturbances. So basically all the physical systems are subjected to external disturbances and noise signals, because we are not keeping them in a vacuum, right? Or we are not keeping them in the exact lab setup. Okay, so such signals during the operations, if you take the example of brush and commutator noise in motors, thermal noise voltage in electronic circuits are the good examples for the noise, while affect the wind on the performance of the antenna is again an example. And one more example you can take it as the electronic circuits. Okay, so there in electronic circuits you may get the external disturbances. Based on that disturbances you may get the wrong output also. Then a requirement of a good control system is that considerations should be given that time of designing, so that the system is insensitive to noise and external disturbances, but it should be sensitive to input commands here. Okay, so if you make a system to totally insensitive, it won't give you any output, right? It should be sensitive for the given inputs, but it should be insensitive for the disturbances. So while designing, that care has to be taken, otherwise you will not get any output here. Okay, then the fourth one is stability. So the main concept of stability means the output of system must follow reference input and must produce the bounded output for the bounded input. But due to wrong selection of the parameters, it is possible that output tends to increase without bounds. So this condition we can call it as unstable condition. So for a good control system is one which is stable in nature. Okay, so here if you say that stability means again all the previous three requirements should satisfy, then only we can call it as a system is having good stability, that is it is a stable system. Then the fifth one is bandwidth. So it is a requirement is related to the frequency response of the system. For the input frequency range, it should give satisfactory output. The frequency range for which output is satisfactory is its bandwidth. The satisfactory output means maximum possible output without overshoot, and it should not change with the input frequency in the given range. Whatever the given range for the input signal, you should give the maximum possible output range, but you should not overshoot that frequency range. Then the sixth one is speed. So here a system should have good speed. This means that output of the system should approach its desired value as quickly as possible. This is measured in terms of its rise in time, settling time. But the system should settle down to its final value as quickly as possible. Okay. Then the seventh one is the system should seventh one is oscillations. So here it should exhibit suitable damping, that is controlled output should follow the changes in the reference input without unduly large oscillations or overshoots. So in general, a good control system should be accurate, reliable, stable and fast responding, insensitive to parameters, variations, disturbances, but sensitive to changes in the input. Thank you. Today we'll end the session here. So in the next video lecture, we'll try to discuss about types of the controllers. There are some few types of the controllers. Along with that, we'll try to study effect of feedback on the effect of the feedback on the system performances, and we'll cover the regulating systems. That is, we'll try to study the working principle of regulators. Thank you.